Hello, it's Randi Rhodes. Here's a clip from our show, and go to randirhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.
Mary had a little man.
The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream. Change has come to America.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
We've got the best people. I know the best people. I know the best managers. I know the best deal makers. I have the most dedicated people. I have the best people. I have the best people. I know the best people. We know the best negotiators in the world. We have great people. We're going to use our best people, and we're going to bring back our jobs. You need people that are truly, truly capable. And I think so much has to do with past history.
It's completely transparent. Donald Trump's tax returns aren't. I'd like to see those be transparent. And people start to see that he says he's for the little guy, but he's actually built a lot of his businesses on the backs of the little guy.
But we have to stop being so politically correct. We need to get the best and the finest, and if we don't, we'll be in trouble for a long period of time.
You call Donald Trump a hack?
He's a hack politician.
You're in
He's
trouble.
bringing.
So why is he resonating?
You're an inherited money dude from Queens County. Bring it, Donald.
And I love all people, rich or poor. But in those particular positions, I just don't want a poor person. Does that make sense?
No.
Does that make sense?
No.
If you insist, I'll do it. But I like it better this way, right?
Michael Flynn's resignation as National Security Advisor after only just over 3 weeks on the job had been brewing for days. The retired general had become a lightning rod for criticism over his ties with Russia.
Donald Trump's campaign manager has been arrested and charged.
Manafort worked with a pro-Russian Ukrainian president.
Does Trump's new campaign CEO have a history of domestic violence?
I have the best people. I have the best people.
Oh, my God. You know who's left? It's like Ivanka, his daughter, Jared, his son-in-law, and his golf caddy, Dan Scavino, in charge of social media. That's who's left from the best people. The very best he has. The very, very best. And now Jared, the son-in-law, is fighting with Kelly because Kelly knows that Jared doesn't believe in America first. He believes in Jared first. He believes in Kushner companies first. Oh, my God. Do you realize what happened just yesterday alone? Just yesterday alone, we found out that Mueller is looking into Donald Trump's financial maneuvers just before he announced he was running for president. John Kelly and Jared and Ivanka are fighting. Trump had this bizarro world reality TV celebrity apprentice boardroom meeting a la DACA. Remember that same immigration thing that he did? Well, I'll sign whatever you bring me. I'll take the heat for you. About guns. He's a complete gun grabber, this guy. I mean, it's like, he's me. He's like, all that was missing yesterday from that boardroom was you fired. That, the Cobra was missing. And me. I would have been happy to take all their guns. But, I mean, it was unbelievable. We learned that Jared Kushner lost his top secret security clearance because he's still amending his financial records and that he got about $500 million in loans from people after having White House meetings with them. And let's not forget, Jared Kushner's sister. Remember, they had these meetings with the Chinese. He loves President Xi. Loves President Xi, who's just become a dictator. He's just become Chairman Mao in Mao. He's just become Chairman Mao in China by doing away with term limits. So he's going to be, the dictator for life over there in China. And Donald Trump just loves him. And it's so interesting that, Ivanka had a meeting with Xi, and then all of a sudden she shows up with, licensing agreements to sell her stuff in China, and she gets trademarks and copyrights from China after a meeting at the White House. And then Jared has a meeting with Citigroup, and he gets a $325 million loan. And then he has a meeting at the White House with the Apollo Group, and they make a $184 million loan to him, 3 times the normal loans that the Apollo Group is known to be, to make. And Jared's sister, she goes over to China. And after Donald Trump says, you know what, we'll make special allocations. Yeah. Of H-1B visas, we'll make special allocations for visa lottery winners in China. Jared's sister goes over to China and she says, I'll get you a visa in exchange for investment in the Kushner Company business. I mean, this is just it's so obvious. And of course, poor Abby Lowell, who loses just about every case he's ever done, is Jared Kushner's lawyer. And Abby goes, he meets with hundreds of businessmen. Yes, but most people disclose that. And your client does not. And that's because he enters those meetings not doing public service for the United States of America and America first. He enters those meetings doing private business for Jared Kushner Industries first, and America never. It's just so creepy. And then we learned all that yesterday. We found out that four foreign countries, well, you could call them companies at this point, but four foreign countries, the United Arab Emirates, Mexico, China, Israel, where Jared Kushner has businesses. You know, he's got real estate interests. He does Israeli settlement business. He's got stuff in Mexico, of course, the China with his sister and the visas in exchange for investment. And then he wanted a loan from the Anbang Bank in China during the transition. And Anbang said, oh, no, because it would cause a conflict of interest. We're being lectured to on democracy from China. No, it would cause a conflict of interest. And Abby Lowell is very busy telling you, he meets with millions of businessmen. You know, I mean, this is just what he does and da-da-da-da-da and this and that, leaving out the whole everybody discloses and gets, well, not only do you go and get briefed on the people you're meeting with like H.R. McMaster, you would go to the Secretary of State, you would go to the CIA, you would go, you know, and you'd get briefed on the people you were meeting from these foreign countries. That's number one. And then number two, after the meetings, you'd be debriefed by those people to find out what the hell this person was talking to you about, whether or not they're trying to get over on you, whether or not, first of all, going in, you would realize what their agenda is, you know, what they, are trying to get from America because they are, a communist country, or they do have, he's in charge of Middle East peace. You would think that, he would disclose the business arrangements that he has with Israel when he does Middle East peace. Well, Abby Lowell is very busy telling you that it's all okay. Because, he's got this portfolio. He's the secretary of everything. Meanwhile, he doesn't tell anybody he's meeting with them going in, and he doesn't tell anybody what happened in the meetings coming out. And now the Washington Post receives intercepted phone calls. Swear to God, these are phone calls, intercepts from the people in Israel who would deal with Jared, the people at the United Arab Emirates who would deal with Jared, Mexico and China. And everybody on the intercepts are going, hey, Jared is so deeply in debt and he's always trolling around for money. Maybe we could trade something, we want and just, enrich him personally. Because, for $1 billion, maybe you would sell out your country. And what's really interesting is Abby Lowell's other defense is, well, Robert Mueller hasn't called Jared in. But Robert Mueller has called Steve Bannon in, and Robert Mueller did get a guilty plea from Michael Flynn. And you know what's interesting about that is that Michael Flynn and Steve Bannon were in two of those meetings with Jared. So I'm sure that what Mueller is doing is getting all the info from the man who pled guilty to lesser charges in exchange for what he knows about Jared enriching himself, about Donald Trump knowing whether or not the emails were stolen and that he was, taking stolen information when he took the wiki. All this. Mueller's getting his ducks in a row before he talks to Jared, because Sam Nunberg, who's a lunatic, okay, an absolute lunatic, he was part of the Trump campaign, and he was fired 3 separate times by Donald Trump. Because he knows the best people, yes. So Sam Nunberg, the first time Trump fired Nunberg, it was because of an unfavorable BuzzFeed profile. And then he fired him for the last time. He fired him because Sam Nunberg likes to post racist crap on Facebook. And so we fired him the third time. And then Trump sued Sam Nunberg for $10 million last summer. And then they amicably settled. And since then, Nunberg has been the reporter whisperer. He's the person that Trump sends out to media. So last night, Nunberg was sent out to media, and he was asked by Ari Berman on MSNBC if, because Sam Nunberg was brought in for questioning by Robert Mueller. Isn't that something? And so he's willing to talk about what it was like to go in front of Mueller because he's a lunatic. He's an absolute lunatic. Don't you realize that the more you talk, the more there is to investigate? Listen, I got these. It's so. The truth has lost all validity in this Trump administration. The things that they say are not so much untrue as they are meaningless at this point. Even that gun meeting and the immigration meeting. It's March, everybody. It's March 1st, which means all of our bills are due. All of them. So please, be generous at randirhodes.com/support or randirhodes.com/shop and buy a stinking podcast. Thank you. Because everybody has to get paid. But it's also, the beginning of the Ides of March, okay, where, Caesar met his demise. And the stuff that comes out of these people, it's not even so much that it's untrue. It's just babbling. It's babbling because they sound like big babies. They're always complaining. But the more that they talk, the more Mueller has to investigate. The idea that he's fighting with Sessions, which we also found out yesterday, that Trump is going back and attacking Sessions again and again over this stupid memo gate thing, this Nunes memo, which said the FISA court was abused and that they lied and they relied on the Steele dossier, and then the Democrats had to wait till Trump redacted almost everything, and then they put their memo out saying, and the first line of their memo is, Christopher Steele's reporting played no role in launching the FBI's counterintelligence investigation. Just saying. And so Trump is attacking Sessions because he wants Sessions not to use the Inspector General at the Justice Department, the FBI. He wants Sessions to use some hand-picked FBI, some hand-picked Justice Department officials who will make it all go away for him and declare that the FISA court was lied to in some weird way, even though the facts don't lead anywhere near that conclusion. He wants, Sessions to lie for him. He wants Sessions to babble something and fire the Inspector General, Michael Horowitz. I mean, it's just such a sick administration. It's so sick. But listen, here's Sam Nunberg, who's very close to the president. And he's also a person that's been abused by Trump. It's like they all have Stockholm syndrome. It's so weird. And we didn't even get to the Hope Hicks firing yesterday, which was... It's so bizarre. I mean, apparently he berated her because she told Mueller that she does lie for Trump. She called it white lies. Telling lies to white people is apparently a white lie, or white people that tell lies, or white lie. I don't know. Black lies versus white lies. I don't even know. I don't know. All I could tell you is it takes 2 seconds to tell the truth and a lifetime to lie. And no, I want to play Sam Nunberg. Sorry. So Sam Nunberg was questioned by Mueller, and he went in to describe the experience.
Before I got the call, when I got the call that day, it was like on a Tuesday after the Michael Wolff book came out. And I was very upset when I got the call. And you know what I mean? And I have to pay legal fees for it, right? But I understand they're doing their job. What I would say, one, is the taxpayer is getting their money's worth. Oh. They were highly professional.
You're talking about Mueller's investigators.
Mueller's investigators. They didn't call me in just to check a box. Everything they asked me, they knew, it was backed up. I can't get into I don't want to get into it and give away their investigation, but I would say is it wasn't a waste of my time or their time.
Oh my God.
I was happy to cooperate with them, as I told you on this show. And they're very talented.
It's very interesting. It sounds like you're saying, again, we're not speaking about the revealing the details inside on the substance.
Yes.
But it sounds like on the approach and process, you're saying you found them to be professional and positive?
Not only professional, I found them to be that if this was very corporate to me. In other words, when I say we always like to say we want the government to run like a business, this was like a white shoe law firm going in. Okay, I've sat in there. They asked me questions. They had charts out. They had specific things they wanted to know. They had follow-ups. It was almost like flow charts. I'm not saying they had a flow chart there, but the point is that it wasn't a waste of taxpayers' money to have me in there. It wasn't a waste of time for me either, and I'm happy to have been in there, and I'm happy to have cooperated. And once again, I would say, like I said to you, had Donald Trump just fired Robert Mueller and not given that interview to Lester Holt,
fired Jim Comey.
Excuse me. Fire Jim Comey. Maybe I'm jumping ahead, but had Donald Trump just fired Jim Comey, not given the Lester Holt interview, not had the Russians, I would not have been in there.
Oh, Jesus. That's what I keep telling you. The more that they talk, the more he babbles, the more this baby goes on TV, the more he tweets witch hunt, the more he threatens his attorney general, Jeff Sessions. The more he fired the FBI director, went on Lester Holt. I told you that was kryptonite. I knew it all that time ago, that it was the Russia thing. And he fired. This is what the beginning of the investigation that Mueller, is conducting is about. It's all about obstruction. It's all about obstruction. And the more these morons talk, and the more that they flail, and the more that he tweets, the more he babbles, and the more the truth becomes meaningless to this, the more Mueller has to investigate. So now Mueller is investigating the bullying of Jeff Sessions. He's torturing Jeff Sessions on social media like a freaking school shooter. Go to RandiRhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.